like I'm thirsting for some Smash news.
15. Okay, that's good.
Which is like
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I miss being excited about Smash Bros. Because like
I mean, it's just been a hot minute.
It's been a minute, right? But like we're in a like pandemic, so no one can really come together and play the game. There's smoke outside, so like we
can't even go outside.
Yeah, we can't go outside and play it.
Playing the game.
I miss it, dude, because I see people on my friends list playing it, and I'll be like messing around on I was playing Mario Odyssey recently, and I kept seeing people on my friends list get on Smash, and I'm like, oh, I miss it so much, and I've been playing Melee and stuff, so I really miss it, and that's making me wonder when we're gonna hear more, because there's been a lot of people theorizing that you know how Hyrule Warriors is gonna have that more information thing on the 26th. People are wondering if that's gonna
coming in hot.
People are wondering if that's gonna be like a direct, and I just don't know. I feel like if it was a direct, they would have announced it. Like, I don't know.
They phrased it as more information for that game.
That's
so
true.
I think it's just for that game.
True.
Also, I think we're getting like a lot of gameplay at Tokyo Game Show for it.
I thought Nintendo wasn't going to be at Tokyo Game Show. I'm pretty sure Microsoft is going to be there.
Game Explain said something. Game Explain.
Well, Arlo said, unless Nintendo changed their mind, but
who's better?
Arlo or Game Explain? Honestly, I was joking about this the other day, but once John Cartwright leaves Game Explain, I'm just gonna unsubscribe. But that's
Game Explain is good at giving news and stuff, but I'm definitely not subbed because I do not.
They spam a lot. In their PS5 video today that they were talking about the announcement, they said the announcement is going to be on September 6th, and I'm like, bruh, and instead of 16th. It was funny, but that's
No More Heroes delayed to 2021. Makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, they made a joke about that in the reveal trailer.
Yeah,
it was like 2020 release. Like that
was like back in February of last year, wasn't it? The announcement.
No, the announcement for No More Heroes 3 was E3 2019, and then the trailer that said 2020 release was Game Awards.
Well, I remember the direct that announced Link's Awakening. That was the February 2019 direct, wasn't it? I think No More Heroes was
that one had Astral Chain in it.
I thought that had No More Heroes 3.
No More Heroes was an E3 thing.
That was E3? Wow, okay.
Yep.
I remember because it came like right after Banjo, and so like all the reaction, or not Banjo, Hero. Yeah, and so I don't know. That was a weird E3 morning for me because I woke up. I had my friend Joel over, right, and like him and I were really excited that he was going to be over for E3, and we were like the only one we ended up watching together was the Microsoft one where like nothing happened except for the Halo Infinite trailer. And then we're like, okay, dude, we gotta watch the Nintendo one together. They're gonna announce characters and stuff. And plus it's Nintendo, like the best company ever. And he just didn't watch it. He slept through it. I was kind of mad. But I don't know. I remember like...
Yes, there is a 50-minute presentation at Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah, really? So they must have changed their night.
Wow. Game of the Year coming in hot.
So like, what are they gonna... Wait, when is Tokyo Game Show?
Oh, I don't know. But
okay.
Soon... maybe the 26th. I think that's likely what it is.
So yeah.
More info coming is that presentation likely.
Okay, dude, that's a game right there. I played
the original Hyrule Warriors so much that when I saw the trailer, the hypest moment was when Link was just doing some sword slashing up, and I was just like, "That's not the OG combo. This is new."
It's new. It's like it's not even the same engine.
Not just DLC. Because like when Definitive Edition came out, I was like, man, it sucks that there's no Breath of the Wild content because it's the one. Like,
it was the newest game
Zelda release that isn't represented in Hyrule Warriors.
Oh, really?
In Hyrule Warriors, the three games that are missing are the Oracle games, Minish Cap, likely because
Capcom
stuff, and then it was Breath of the Wild outside of like a costume from Link and Zelda in the Switch version.
Spirit Tracks had stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Really? I never played Definitive Edition.
You can use the sand wand as a weapon.
Oh, okay.
And you bring out the train, and there's like a special map.
Yeah, I only played the Wii U version, and I liked it, but I only played through like the main story, and they added like medley and stuff like that, and I just didn't really play it after that. I don't know.
It is, I think it's like, for a series, it's like my favorite spin-off because
it's like a great love letter.
It is, and that's why Fire Emblem Warriors was very disappointing.
See, I want to play that game, but
Fire Emblem Warriors, I think, from a gameplay standpoint, is definitely better. But from like the whole like love letter celebration thing, it doesn't even hold a candle to it.
Oh yeah, dude, I don't know if you remember this, but it was like E3 2014 or something, and you and I,
what E3 was.
You and I were at like a party or something. I think it was my sister's party or something. You and I like were chilling, and it was right after the Breath of the Wild announcement, or Zelda Wii U announcement, and it was also the same direct where they announced, or the same E3 they announced Hyrule Warriors. So I remember you and I talking about that a lot.
Oh my god.
Oh man, that was so long ago.
Dude, it's a weird time capsule.
And that was Smash for Wii U as well, I think. When it was announced, because we talked about that, and I remember being so hyped about that game, and then we're already 2 Smash games since. Wow.
Well, 1 Smash game since.
Sakurai considers for 3DS and Wii U 2 games, but
okay, sure. I'll take that. Sure. Okay. I was just thinking about time and stuff because my playtime in Xenoblade this week went from like 10 hours to 40.
Oh god,
I've been grinding it out, dude.
That's a game I want to play.
It's super good. I've been loving it.
There's so many Nintendo games I want to play.
Because there's a YouTuber I watch, and I remember his Let's Play of Xenoblade. I was like, yeah, that was like 2017, right? I remember being excited when that was coming out. And then I went back and looked at it. It was like 2016.
Oh my god.
2014. I was like, oh my Jesus.
Yeah,
Christ.
yeah. I remember when oh god, what's his Chugga Connery was playing through the game.
Yes.
And like he did what, like 300 episodes or something like crazy.
50 episodes. Or
he did so many videos on that. It was crazy.
Chugga Conroy. He is,
dude. He's an OG. 119.
He is favorite YouTuber.
He was
all time.
I never like after I finished playing Ocarina of Time, and I was like, wait, there's like more Zelda games and stuff, and I remember looking up on YouTube Ocarina of Time 2 playthrough or whatever, and his videos came up on Majora's Mask, and like the way he went about explaining it and just his passion for that game was so interesting. And then I bought the game on Wii VC, and oh man, good times.
Dude, it's why I was able to get through Luigi's Mansion.
The first one?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because I was a baby, and I was scared of it. Then I watched it and it was tight, and I was like, man, I want to play it now. And then who knows, maybe it'll come up later if we talk about something else.
Dude, I want to play, like, I was thinking of all the Nintendo games I still need to play on the Switch. And, like, the big two are Luigi's Mansion 3, because really that game looks so good. And really good. I still really want to try Origami King. I don't know why.
I do too. I've been hearing a lot about it.
There's a lot of, like, I wouldn't say mixed, like, a slightly above mixed reception for the game. And I know we talked about this last time, but
what I've heard, it's like from people who really like are like, you know what, I gave it a shot. It's the consensus is like, thank God, it's finally its own thing.
Right. It seems to really
just stumbling and like trying to be the old. It's like it has its own voice. It's not as good, but you know what? I can see this now.
Yeah. And oddly enough, Sword and Shield is another one, but I just was like, oh, I'm gonna wait for the DLC and blah blah blah. Like, I don't know, but that's like Pokemon's a series that I can play like every other gen and be okay, because I've only played Gen 2 and Black and White. I played barely. I rented Black, or was it White? One of them from Blockbuster of all places, and. Then Sun and Moon, I really liked Sun a lot, and I was like, oh, Switch one? Perfect. But especially since they're not doing another one this year, right? That kind of gives you more time, I guess. I don't know.
I think they were doing the DLC instead.
True.
That's the trade-off.
I think that's a way better... If Sword and Shield was more of a game, then I think that would have been a way better model.
It was held up to standards.
Because imagine if Sword and Shield was a really good content-filled game. Like if Sun and Moon was the Sword and Shield.
Imagine if it was a good game.
Imagine if it didn't piss people off and it came out and it was good, and then they just kept updating it through over the next 2 years or so, and then they released a new generation or a remake. That would be so cool.
And when they released a new gen, it was worth it.
Yeah.
With new changes and upgrades and stuff.
And
they built off the mechanics they introduced instead of just throwing them out in the trash.
Because Diamond and Pearl are the next games that they would do, probably, right? I don't really know much about.
I mean, people have been
Pokemon.
saying Gen 4 remakes since. People were saying Gen 4 remakes
before Auras?
Let's Go Pikachu was coming out.
Oh, okay.
That's what people were wanting.
How many goddamn Gen 1 remakes are there?
That's the third.
If you count Pokemon Go, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's crazy.
Because it was the originals, then the GBA ones, and then
Pokemon Yellow.
Shut up.
Doesn't count. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of good Switch games out there that I want to play, and then there's upcoming ones, of course. We talked a little bit about Hyrule Warriors, because that's a game I didn't know I needed.
Oh.
That really is a game I didn't know I needed.
Here's the thing. I hope and pray for you, because I know you're excited about it because of the story and stuff.
Yeah.
That's because even when it was announced, you're like, I'm glad they're finally expanding on the most disappointing part of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And I'm just I appreciate your optimism. I wouldn't get my hopes up. I'm here just to do some funny combos with Magnesis.
True. Yeah, and part of me is thinking at the same time, they wouldn't make this game. I feel like
were cutscenes and stuff, and that's what they're saying the main conceit of it is.
Right. I feel like they wouldn't make this game if they didn't have a story or something in mind. But
they definitely do, because stuff is going to happen. But I'm at the end of the day, this is a Zelda game.
True. And it's canonical as well, unlike Hyrule Warriors, which is extra exciting. Because I don't think many of the spin-offs are actually canon. Triforce Heroes isn't canon, is it?
I think it technically is, yeah.
Is it? Okay.
I mean, it's like Zelda, where it's everything is kind of canon, but not, because it can happen at different places.
Right. Yeah. That's actually one of the few games I haven't played, Zelda games.
Here's the thing. If you want to talk about being canon, in fact, Hyrule Warriors is the most important game in the timeline.
Oh, God. Is it? Is it now?
Have you seen at Polygon Bryven David Gilbert stuff?
No.
He does this series and it's hilarious. I'll send you.
Triforce Heroes is canon.
It's called Unraveled, and it's the funniest stuff. Let's see. He read every Halo novel.
Oh, that yeah. Oh yeah. That video was circulating in the Halo community for so damn long.
He made every recipe from Breath of the Wild. He read all 337 books in Skyrim.
Oh God, dude!
And he did a Zelda timeline episode, and it's
okay.
It was pretty.
Well, I know recently, before Link's Awakening was announced, Nintendo kind of shifted the timeline. It was after Breath of the Wild, so they wanted to put Breath of the Wild in it or whatever. And Nintendo moved Link's Awakening from before the Oracle games and after the Link to the Past, and no one really noticed or cared until Link's Awakening was announced. And so people are like, "Oh my God, what if they move other stuff and that's the next game they what if they move Skyward Sword after the Minish Cap?" Or oh God. But that makes me wonder too, because Nintendo's at least tried to do a Zelda game every year, right? At least tried. And so
in some way, was there one in 20? There wasn't one in 2018.
No, well, Hyrule Warriors definitive, but
I guess. Okay.
But they tried for a while.
We'll cut them slack.
Because it was
one technically every year since 2017.
Yeah, it was Wind Waker HD, and then Link Between Worlds, Wind Waker HD.
There was a gap.
Skyward Sword, Wind Waker HD. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of all the releases, because they were, I don't know.
No.
And then Majora's Mask 3D.
Every year since 2017. Maybe when did Triforce Heroes come out?
Triforce Heroes was 2014, 2013.
2015.
Really? Holy shit. Okay. And then Twilight Princess HD was 2016.
So I guess if you're counting like HD re-releases,
yeah, I count those because like, I was thinking
they have been bopping it for a while.
Because there was
since 2015 at least.
There was there was that Skyward Sword like Walmart listing or something, HD or whatever, the remake or whatever, the port. Yeah. And I was thinking, that wouldn't be too bad, right? Like if that's what we got this year for Zelda or like next year or like early next year, I wouldn't really mind. And now with this, I'm like, is that even going to happen now? I was like kind of hedging my bets because Skyward Sword, like, I feel like it could do way better on the Wii.
HD re-release at some point. Like,
I hope, because it's the only 3D Zelda that doesn't have it.
To be fair, it's also the most recent since Breath of the Wild.
True, but it's still stuck on a console that can only render 40p.
Yes. I'm just saying, at this point, now is the time for it to happen.
I think if Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't come out next year, I think that's when they would do it. But
oh yeah,
because Eiji Aonuma,
Mario Galaxy 2 is the only Mario stuck on a non-HD home console.
True, because Eiji Aonuma said that basically like Breath of the Wild 2 isn't ready yet. Like, gonna need more time, and I'm wondering what does that mean? Like, are we in the hell of Zelda Wii U time where it was like it exists and it'll come, and then it's the Game Awards, and the game doesn't come out for 3 more years, and it's oh god. But I'm hoping that it being a sequel and like not a new game, it won't take as long. But it's already been 3 years.
That makes me excited the most about that announcement is like, okay, because they mentioned like they're like
to make the world better,
the new world with the world and stuff. So I'm like, oh, so we're actually getting updates to it.
Yeah,
because I just assumed it was gonna be like some like major tweaks where it's like, oh, shrines are different, like because they're all done already technically, like all that, or
it's just a master quest. They just changed the shrines.
I kind of thought it was going to be sort of like that.
Yeah, I feel like it would have come out by now, though.
A remixed version of like the old map.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, new towns have popped up, and like now it's not like, oh, you have to deal with the clan. And
it would be really cool if like it was Hyrule was a bit more rebuilt, and so there was more towns.
Yeah,
but like the shrines are still around and stuff.
Either that, or I expected it was just going to be linear entirely.
Like it was
going to be scaled down.
And I have a feeling they're not going to do that now, which
I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. Like, it's a new Zelda game.
Is it going to be like, ooh, here we go.
Like, Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was probably my most anticipated video game to ever happen. Like ever since that first damn announcement. With Zelda Wii U, where everyone thought Link was a girl, all the way up to March 3rd, 2017, like, that was one of the best hype trains and hype things I've ever been on, and I love that game. As much as I like to make fun of it and nitpick it, I fucking love Breath of the Wild.
I mean, that's how you know you really love a game.
And so I'm feeling that again with Breath of the Wild 2, but I also, like, I'm less excited about it because it's a sequel, and we've talked about this before, but if it was a new game, like, already, then I think I would be way more excited than I am right now. But I'm still kind of at that point where I want to know more. Like, I'm not quite on board. It's a sequel to a game that I felt like doesn't really, like, everyone said forever, right? Like, the sequel to Breath of the Wild, if they fix all the problems of the original, like, could just be the best game ever made, And I feel like since it's Eiji Aonuma, right? And his first project ever was Majora's Mask, right? And it's like,
it's going for like a darker.
Yeah, and that game had like 18 months or like 17 months of development. This game obviously is way more. So I'm so curious about it, and it's not coming out this year. Like, just not gonna. And then with this game on top of it, Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, it's like,
dude, we got a Zelda trilogy, baby.
Yeah, and that has never happened before. Like, the closest we've gotten is probably Wind Waker with Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
Okay, technically it's the same thing because even then it was
A Link to the Past.
Hourglass were direct, and then
it was Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, not Zelda 2, Link's Awakening, and then Link Between Worlds.
No, I was thinking because then like Link, freaking Wind Waker, and then Phantom Hourglass were direct.
Yeah,
and then you had like 100 years later
Spirit Tracks,
which is in the same place. So technically, in a way, since the new Hyrule Warriors is 100 years before Breath of the Wild,
right?
but it's more of it's the same characters in a direct story.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be far more tightly close.
Beyond, like, it's Link on another adventure,
right? Because Majora's Mask, like, even though it's quote unquote a direct sequel, like, it doesn't continue that story. Like, at the beginning of the game, Link's like, "Oh, I'm gonna look for Navi," and then it's like, "Oh wait, yeah," and then the game ends, and he just kind of leaves, and you're like, "Okay, he's gonna go look for Navi," and then we never know what happens, and then he turns into a skeleton boy, and he trains Link later.
Well,
but
no, that's the one where he dies, right?
Yeah, because Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask is the hero. The hero. Well, no, because so the decline is the hero's defeated at the end of Ocarina of Time, so Ganon wins, and then you have Child Era, which is when he is teleported back to be a child.
He wins, one where he goes back and one where he stays.
Where Link gets to go back and Ganon kind of does stuff, and then when he wins, but he gets to stay an adult, basically, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of Ocarina of Time, where, like, that's my favorite thing about that game, by the way, and we'll get into this, but like the way that Ocarina, like, people like to talk about how much of a dark game Majora's Mask is, and it definitely is, but, like, Ocarina of Time isn't that much more, like, less depressing. Like, it's still kind of a depressing game, right? Like, it's not, like, it's certainly more cheerful, but I feel its themes are kind of more, it's almost the coming of the apocalypse in the same way that Majora's Mask is, right? Like, obviously Majora's Mask is way more imminent, but the whole, like, oh my god, 7 years later, there's fucking monsters outside the town, and everyone's, like, upset, and this horrible guy runs the ranch now, and Kakariko Village is a shell of its former shit self.
This man doesn't like his horses.
Yeah, and I just, like, really that's my favorite thing about the end of that game, is that he gets to, like, after doing this whole thing, he gets to, relive his quote-unquote childhood, and then he
gets to actually live his life.
But then he goes and gets lost and meets a Skull Kid. I don't know. This is all the timeline's a bit of a blur.
Hey,
but
man, look,
I guess that'll kind of segue us. So if there's more things you want to say about Breath of the Wild 2, go ahead. But I feel like I need to. I don't know. I
have a bit of an idea.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned Skyward Sword.
Uh-huh.
But I just thought of how at the end of the trailer the castle was going into the sky.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, what if
Fortnite Season 6, baby,
to, like, make a new world? I was thinking, what if quite literally the way they're finding new space is literally going underground and also off the ground in the sky.
Yeah. That's been brought up a lot too, right? Like, I even saw this whole thing where the underground segments you'll play as Zelda, and then everything else, like, you'd play as Link or whatever.
If you can play as Zelda, that'd be so sick.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about that, and I feel like it's almost inevitable for a mainline game to do it. But
especially this one.
Yeah, this is the one to do it, because I remember when the DLC came out, the last one for Breath of the Wild, and I was just so hyped for that DLC as well. Like, Breath of the Wild, just in general, it's such a hype game. So I just love it. And the DLC came out, it was like right after the Game Awards, Nintendo talked about it, and it's the Champions Ballad, and it's gonna, talk about the champions a bit more. And like
story, and I'm like, oh,
and I beat it, and then I'm like, oh, and then Cass sings a song, and that's it. And I'm like, oh. And I just was like, ugh. So I really hope, like, just overall, Breath of the Wild's biggest disappointment for me was its narrative, because it seemed like such a big part in the marketing. But it was just kind of like, oh, look at all this action and the memories and stuff, and none of it's really in the game necessarily. I don't know. I really hope that Breath of the Wild 2 is a bit more of a not narrative focused, but I want it to have a stronger narrative.
This might be like a Doom 2016 versus Doom Eternal situation, where, like, Doom 2016 was like, yeah, there was a story technically, but it
didn't really matter.
Pushed off to the side.
I mean, it's Doom.
It's like, gameplay is where it's at, and then Doom Eternal came along and was like, let's have a story this time.
Yeah, and platforming.
It's good though. It's better though.
Yeah. So I guess I just really need to know more. I'm at that point where
we've had so far are CGs.
Literally a trailer. And then
a trailer,
Eiji Aonuma saying, "Hey."
Ganondorf's freaking body in a thing, and Link gets like magic.
Yeah, there's talk that Breath of the Wild 2 will kind of focus on breaking the quote unquote cycle, if you will, the whole like reincarnation of the Triforce.
That's what I would expect.
And I think if they did that, that's almost kind of a climactic end to this series, you know.
That's not happening. So.
No, I know, but I feel like if they ever wanted to just be like, yo, okay, no more Zelda, or like if we do Zelda in the future, it'll be totally different. This is the game to do it with. I know that's totally like ass backwards and they'll never do it, but in a way it could be one of the ends of the timeline, because Breath of the Wild is
I think here's why, I guess, going back to timeline,
because doesn't Breath of the Wild fall at the end of every split of the timeline?
That's why Hyrule Warriors is the most important game in the timeline, technically. Because what it's like, what his argument is because Skyward Sword is the start,
and Breath of the Wild is the quote unquote convergence.
The Skyward Sword is the start, and then eventually Ocarina of Time comes along, and that's the split.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's just like, and then at some point Hyrule Warriors comes along, and that's the end. That's when it converges again. Like,
well, because I remember when Breath of the Wild first came out, and people were scrambling to figure out where the game would fit. And Zelda has that one line about like the hero of Twilight from the sky, and something about darkness.
Like, something from like Ocarina of Time. Like, from like A Link to the Past 2, and it's like, no.
Yeah, everyone's like, what the hell? This doesn't help us. But I don't know.
The Kingdom Red Line.
The timeline is honestly kind of a mess. But
why are the Koroks here?
Why are they pooping everywhere? That's something though. Like, the Breath of the Wild just like doesn't have, like, it has Zora and fucking birds. Rita. So like, what the hell? What the hell? Isn't that the whole thing of Wind Waker?
Wind Waker, was it that
Zora evolve into the Rito?
That'd be weird. They're water people, though. Why would they have to evolve?
That was the thing. I'm pretty sure that was like the whole like. I think it was, but now once Hyrule flooded, they couldn't fly anymore. I know it honestly makes no sense, but
I mean, and then like the Kokiri evolved into the freaking tree people.
Oh yeah.
Makar people.
Dude, Wind Waker? Oh, okay. Dude, I think it's time.
Talk about Makar, the best Zelda character.
Makar is like, during development for that game, originally in the is it the Wind Temple or I always thought Medley should have been the Wind Temple. Like, that never made sense to me. But whatever. In the Wind Temple originally, during development, you could hookshot Makar. But the developers were like, oh, that's kind of mean. Like, we don't want to be mean to Makar. And so they let him plant. Oh my god, it's so cute. But yeah, Makar, he's a homie. He really is.
Makar is actually
top 10 best Zelda characters.
He's actually probably my favorite. I will not lie.
Mine is Linebeck, and then probably Makar.
Love Makar,
Makar's great.
I would die for Makar.
I like Medley a lot too. Like, Wind Waker has some good characters, I think.
Dude, Wind Waker. Look, man, I'm just saying the freaking Wind Waker through Spirit Tracks line is the best line of them all. That's the best one.
It's pretty good. And I think this is a good segue. How smooth was that? To do our top 10 Zelda games? I know you didn't do 10, but
I did 5, but
okay. I guess we can do 5 then.
When you talk about ones you like, I'm just gonna talk about the ones I like.
Okay, so let's do our 5 then, huh? Our top 5. Yeah. So this is including 2D, 3D, and spin-offs, I assume.
You could use
like, is Hyrule Warriors your number 1?
It is not. I'm not that uncultured.
So I guess you can go first. What's your number 5? I'm so curious because honestly, like, you probably know what my list is like, and I have no idea what yours is like.
I put. I now I'm just thinking of restarting.
Oh, by the way, did you ever finish Link to the Past?
Yeah, I finished Link to the Past.
Okay, cool.
Pretty tight. It's super hard.
Yeah.
Like, my top 5 are all games that I'm like, I love these.
Yeah.
You know, this is gonna be hella controversial.
Oh, I like it.
But I'm gonna say Majora's Mask.
Okay, thank God.
I love it, but like all the other 4 in the list, I'm also like, yeah, but it feels weird having it at the bottom.
Yeah, and okay, I have Majora's Mask at 5 as well.
Let's go.
Because, okay, this game. is definitely really good, but I feel like there's this like culture on the internet that like treats it as if it's this super deep, like insightful, like meta analogy, and I'm just like, it's not that deep. Like, it's good, but I don't know. It doesn't have a car, true. It has cows that get abducted, but I don't know. Like, Majora's Mask is kind of a frustrating game, which I get is the whole point of it. Like, it's literally the world is ending. It's not supposed to be like super easy cakewalk. And I just don't like the main gimmick. But there's things I love about it. Like, I love the masks. I love the Majora boss fight. Like, all the stages, love it. What else?
How the moon is actually like.
Oh yeah.
Field.
And I love how the game doesn't even tell you that like the moon, like there's this moon coming down, like when you first enter Clocktown, right? Like, it's just this whole, you get to this place,
you chill out for a bit, and then it's like, oh no,
yeah,
moon.
yeah, and that game in a way was kind of a pioneer of I don't want to say AI, but like NPCs with a schedule, if you will. Like, I feel like
it's one of the first games I can think of that has a clockwork, like,
yeah, and even though like I read this really interesting thing on Reddit, and it was like, even though that like in a way the NPCs are super boring because they just do the same thing over and over again, but that's like, that adds to it because it's, you know, you're time traveling, and in a way Majora's Mask should have just like is far more of a time travel game than Ocarina of Time is, right? Like, you probably use the Song of Time at least 20 times in a playthrough, at least.
It's like how it's taking the concept of time travel in a different direction.
Okay.
Than Ocarina of Time. Because Ocarina of Time is very simple, like you go into the future and the past.
And you
like,
can go to the past. Yeah.
You know, different timeline stuff. Majora's Mask is much more of a Groundhog Day.
Yeah, for sure. Although I always wondered, like, its plot is pretty decently set up, but I always just found it so annoying that the map, like, you just can't leave. Like, it's just the way that it's written at the beginning. He's like, "Oh, you just can't leave." It's like, "Oh, okay, all right."
He fell down a big hole.
I know, true. He died. Whoa! Remember that bullshit?
Go through the 7 stages of grief.
Link died. But I gotta ask. So there's a big hot topic when it comes to Majora's Mask. Is the 3D remake better than the original? Yes or no?
I haven't played through the original.
Oh, okay.
So I cannot judge.
You know, I prefer the 3DS remake because it streamlines what I dislike the most about the game, which is the time system. Like, it just irritates me to no end. No matter how many times I play through the game, I've played through the game like 5 times. I just can't with it. I don't know what it is. I hate it. Like, I love it, but I hate it. I just can't with the time. I just cannot. Especially with certain side quests, like the Cafe and Andrew's side quests, where like, if you fuck up, you just have to go back to the beginning. And if you fuck up on like the second day, on the very end of the second day, it's like, oh god damn it. I get that's kind of the point, and it also is a brilliant way to just make the game work on such a tight. Like, to be honest, like the development cycle that game had, like, I can't believe it's as good as it is, really. But I don't know. I think the 3DS remake certainly streamlines things that I didn't like about the original, but it has, you know, Zora Link sucks and Deku Link can't jump good, and
I mean, here's the thing: Zora Link does kind of suck in the remake.
Yeah, true.
He does feel jank to control.
Yeah, it is.
I got to that point, and it's like, wow, this is.
Yeah, the Great Bay Temple is definitely better than the original, I think. But almost everything else, like the boss fights, are better than the 3DS remake. The side quests are easier to do and keep track of. I don't know, like, it's a good remake for sure, and I love, like, when that game was announced, it was just so good.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, what it is it's very much a cult classic.
It is, and I think
when you redo something that's like very specially beloved by a lot of people for specific reasons, of course you're gonna rub people the wrong way.
Like Aonuma said, basically, like, when he approached the remake, he basically made this list of things that he wanted to change or fix, and he ended up like the list ended up being so long that he was kind of baffled that he even like made the original game. He's like, why the hell did I do this? Like, what was wrong with me? But I don't know.
God, this thing had like a 90% chance of failure.
Yeah, like it had such a shit development cycle.
Dark,
but at the same time, I feel like, you know, you have games like Melee as well, where its development cycle was barely 2 years, and like, even though that game's far, like, at least on a certain level, it's far less like polished and good as Majora's Mask, it still like has held on to culture for so long. And Majora's Mask is definitely very good, but it's neither of our favorite, I don't think, obviously.
It's not my favorite, but I definitely think from how we've talked, I do like it more than you do.
Yeah, it's flip flops.
Just even in the space of just I like the top.
Yeah, for example, my number 6 is Skyward Sword, and like I kind of don't like that game, but I do. But I definitely like Majora's Mask better. So
you put Skyward Sword in your top 10?
Yeah, I don't hate it that much.
I haven't played through it, but from whenever we bring it up,
okay.
I would have expected that to be very low.
It normally, like on a tier list, it would be low, but like in my favorite, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Maybe I'm drunk. I don't know. But
I just picked out the S tiers.
I definitely don't care for Skyward Sword. But I also do. It's weird because it's almost the opposite of Breath of the Wild. Like Breath of the Wild, I love the gameplay. I love the world. I love okay, not the music, but I love just so much about that game. But like the story was just so disappointing. Whereas Skyward Sword, I loved the story in Skyward Sword. I loved the characters. I loved Groose. I loved like you're chasing Zelda and then Girahim. And like Link alone had some decent character development. I really liked Skyward Sword's narrative, and it's almost the opposite of Breath of the Wild. So yeah,
it's the start of when Impa started being hot. You know, that's how it goes.
Oh god, oh god. But yeah.
Okay, now I'm confused. What's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's just my opinion. I don't know why I'm so nervous about it. My number 4 is Twilight Princess, and I've never finished this game, so like I kind of feel bad putting it this high.
I haven't finished it either. So
I really like it, but I also like hated it for so long.
Like, where are all the colors?
Every time, okay, they're in the HD remake. That's where they are. But every time I went, okay, so I've only played the Wii version, like, and I hate the controls. Like, I just don't like them. I don't know. Zelda, like Mario, works really well on a Wiimote and nunchuck, but I don't think Zelda does. I don't know. I always found it really awkward. But the dungeons in Twilight Princess are the best in the series, I think. Like Ocarina of Time and not Skyward Sword. At least 3D dungeons. I think Twilight Princess and Ocarina of Time have the best dungeons.
I think at least Twilight Princess is like the consensus best in terms of dungeons.
Yeah, I think it had like the first 3 are definitely pretty good. The second one, if only Link walked faster, it'd be better. I haven't done Hyrule Castle, but it's not really a dungeon. And then the fucking Snow Peak Mansion, dude. Whew! What a dungeon. Mm-hmm. And Arbiter's Grounds is great. City in the Sky is really good. And yeah, it's good. Although I will mention, Skyward Sword has the linear desert with the time stones, and that's like the best part of that game. So if only, like, not to shit on it, I do like that game. But that's the best part of Skyward Sword. But yeah, what's your number 4?
My number 4 was Breath of the Wild.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. See, I was really curious where you were going to have it, and that's interesting.
I have 3 I'm more partial to than it.
Yeah, so it's the most recent one, right? And so it kind of like, it's you know, video games kind of do this thing, especially series, where the newest one, people kind of like don't like it, and then like as time goes on, they learn to appreciate it more. But I think Breath of the Wild is one that, when it came out, most Zelda fans, like even people that like don't like blah 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 blah, you know, I feel like it did really well for itself.
It's really good.
I'm realizing I messed up with my list, but that's okay. We can keep going.
It's one of those. It's, even if I know people don't like the weapon breaking mechanic, and all that, but I'm like, nah, man, that's part of it. Like,
I agree. I think
an example of what I'll just refer as like a polarizing mechanic, where it's like this is clearly intentional to push the player into the intended playstyle, but that polarizes people who don't want to play in that playstyle.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't want to use a spear. I don't like spears, but I gotta have to.
It makes this is just the thing I bring up whenever I talk about comparisons, I guess, but it's like how people didn't like the low ammo counts in Doom Eternal.
Yeah, I knew that was a big thing.
But when I look at it, I got so much better at like the game itself in Doom Eternal than in the original Doom, because
I assume it pushes you more to use the final blows to get ammo more.
Not even just that, but just like in Doom 2016, it's like, oh, I use like the super shotgun and then the Gauss cannon, and that's it. But in Doom Eternal, it's like, I need to use all of these, you know?
Right. I haven't played Doom Eternal, so I can't speak for it, but
I'm just saying
I see what you're saying.
People don't like it.
I think
it's not how they want to play it, but it makes it much more fulfilling when you actually engage with it.
Yeah, the weapon durability is definitely one of those things that it is. I'm one of those people that, like, of all the things that Breath of the Wild did bad, I think the rain is number one in the way that it affects climbing, and durability would be like number 3. Like, I definitely, it's annoying, but as time has gone on, I don't really care. I
think the weakest part is the enemy variety.
Yeah,
in terms of like the gameplay,
I would say
the rain is annoying, but it's like complaining about certain weather effects in like Death Stranding or something, where it's like, yeah, this sucks, but I mean, I guess it's part of it.
Dude, imagine if Breath of the Wild had timefall. Like, oh my god. Anyways, that would be amazing, dude. Oh god, I didn't know I wanted that till now. It's funny playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Alphos just starts rapidly aging.
Bones, dude. Oh,
dude, that'd be sick. A Bokoblin just turns into bones, and then it's the Stalfos version of it.
That sounds amazing. But I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, and that game has like really made me want, like, it does a lot of things that I feel like Zelda should do in its next installment, but I know it's not. Because I just don't know what Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be. But like that combat system, I feel like if they made a Zelda game with a combat system similar to it, or just whatever, I would love that. But anyways, that's so random.
I'm a little tired of Batman combat.
See, but it's not Batman combat. I thought the same. I was like, oh, I don't like it. And then I've been playing it, and I'm like,
okay. I haven't played it, so I can't judge. But from what I've seen,
the parry system, it's like Sekiro mixed with shield bashing from Skyward Sword. It's like that. It's like, oh, okay.
Look, all that matters for Breath of the Wild 2 is that shield surfing is still in.
Do you think weapon durability is going to stay?
Absolutely.
Okay. Predictions. Let's go.
I think it's part of Breath of the Wild's like identity.
Okay.
In terms of the main games.
Do you think they'll nerf it or like not nerf it, but do you think they'll I think
certainly it's going to have tweaks to the system.
Yeah, I think if they added a way to tell the durability as well as make the durability better, like overall, then I think that'd be better.
I think those would be the two things I would say would actually be cool tweaks.
Yeah.
So you can see it, and then you could have like
ways
to like restore it.
Like I know when you like rebuild Terrytown, you can repair the Hylian shield. And so I'm wondering, like, will Breath of the Wild 2 have more of a repair system? I don't know.
I think that would be where I would see they would go with it.
Yeah. And I will say this about Breath of the Wild, because I cheated, but it's tied in my number 3. I cheated, okay, I have 11 games in my top 10, but it's in my number 3. I debated putting it at number 2 because I fucking love it, but I also fucking hate it. That's an exaggeration, but yeah, it was Nintendo's, like, the fact that it was Nintendo's basically first ever open world game, first game ever like it. Like, they are geniuses. Like, how? Like, Mario 64, when you run and turn the analog stick, like, Mario leans so that you feel the turn. Like, what? How do they think of this? Like, they think of everything. Ocarina of Time has, like, so many different things like that, too. Like, how did they know to, like, design dungeons in 3D? Like, how did they even do that? Like, what? And like, Breath of the Wild does that to me, too, where I'm like, What? Like, huh? This is their first time ever making this. It could have gone horribly wrong, but like it didn't. I mean, it kind of did, but it didn't. Like, it's just, oh my god, it's, and the fact that like it's almost like this big giant block, like roadblock. The whole game's a roadblock. Like, you want to get to that shrine, but like, oh, there's a mountain in the way, so I can't see it, so I don't know it's there. And then, oh my gosh, it's there, but over there's like maybe a Korok seed or two. Like, oh my god, it's just so good.
Korok.
Like, I could really gush about Breath of the Wild. It's so good.
I guess since you were talking about number threes, what's your other number three?
My other three is not Link's Away. Sorry, I cheated. It's Wind Waker. I would say I lean towards Breath of the Wild more in this case. But like Wind Waker, oh my gosh. Like,
I put Wind Waker in number two. I put Wind Waker.
Oh, okay.
Dude,
wow.
I'm a Wind Waker king.
Like,
man.
I like Wind Waker, but it, there's been this whole talk, like speedrunners and people like breaking down the code and stuff. People have kind of figured out that the game was hella rushed, like really rushed. Like, it had to cut a lot of content, which is kind of obvious with the way that it's like, oh, you need to like get the third pearl. Actually, go to this island and then go on like sail to Windfall for 20 minutes, and then go back to Outset for another 30 minutes, and then okay, now you got the second pearl or the third pearl. And it's like, why wasn't there a dungeon? And then it's like, oh, there's going to be 2 more dungeons in the end, and then they're cut, and then they were going to put them in the 3D remake, but then Onuma was like, I don't know. Wind Waker has like its kind of issues, and like the Great Sea is not like as good as it could be. But it's
that feeling, though.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's that adventure.
Yes, I agree. I was playing it on my GameCube like 2 days ago, and
it makes me feel like
the Great Sea music really helps. I think like if the Great Sea music wasn't half as good as it was, and like oh god, what's his name? The guy that plays the violin. Oh gosh, like it's the 2 people that play the main theme. Oh god, because it's like a combination of their songs. I'm a fake fan. Is it Makar and no? Makar plays the cello.
2 people who play things.
Anyways, but the main theme alone is just like so good, and
dude, oh my god.
I remember when the Wii U remake came out, and it was just
dude, Makar. It's in number 2 just for Makar. Like, let's
Makar, baby. So I guess like
simp for Makar.
I don't know. And like I think the HD remake is just like, people like to say, oh, the art style was ruined, but I don't really care that much. Like, it looks really good.
It looks great.
But I like Wind Waker a lot, for sure.
This is a feelings pick, like, this is one where I'm just like, I just felt it.
Yeah.
In my gut.
And
I was just like, yeah.
I think it's I think its combat's pretty fun too. It's surprisingly fluid, and like, especially with the animations. Totally, and I love the is it the Cave of Ordeals? What's the one on Outset? The 50 levels, and you get the charm and stuff. Like, I love that. I don't know, Wind Waker has, and like the great spin attack, stuff like that. Yeah. It has some really cool stuff in it. Hero's Charm, I love. I've never done it, but it has like one of the craziest side quests in a Zelda game with the Nintendo Gallery thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, I'm gonna complete this game, and then I finished it, and I was going around. I was like, oh, you missed this, and you can't get it. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my god.
I remember when
I wasted my time.
I remember when former Cosmo Wright, basically like he showed off his Nintendo Gallery. I don't even think like they had it done like completely, but I was like so amazed at how much that they were able to get done. And granted, they're a speedrunner and they know like the game in and out, but it was still like so cool. And I'm like, what? This is crazy. And they made it easier to obtain in the remake, and I still haven't done it, and I probably never will. Maybe if they port it to Switch.
And his brothers, like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. True. I feel like Tingle is more memorable in Skyward, or sorry,
Wind Waker
than TP or Majora's Mask. Yeah. Would you say that? Like, I kind of forget sometimes that Tingle's in Majora's Mask.
I mean, he's how you get your maps.
Yeah, but I don't really fuck
never
with
really had that issue.
Maps. I don't know. I forget he's in Majora's Mask all the time. But yeah,
I guess Wind Waker's a bop.
Wind Waker's good.
My number 3.
I will say this real quick. Sorry about Wind Waker.
Yeah, no, you go.
Why in the world did they never fix the water clipping through the boat? Like, even in the remake.
I never noticed.
So and when you're normal target, like if you use Z target or L target, when you're in the boat and the camera's like default, you won't notice it until you start moving the camera around. And for some godforsaken reason, the water clips through the boat. It's awful. Like, this is a Nintendo game? What? It's pretty stupid, but especially the fact that you're on the goddamn ocean all the time. Like, they never bothered to like.
This is a Nintendo game. Just looks at Breath of the Wild grass, lagging the game down to hell.
This is a Nintendo game. Yeah, but anyways, you're number 3. I cheated on number 3, so
my number 3 was Link Between Worlds.
Okay, so this is an interesting game because I finally played it like last November or like September or something. That game, I'm sure we can agree, is really good.
Top tier.
I totally forgot about it, and it's not in my top 10 at all. Oh god, this is what happens when you put it together last minute. But dude, that game's so good. Like, I love it. It's way better than Link to the Past. Fight me.
Hell, thank God. I was so worried, Scott, that you were gonna put Link to the Past.
So yeah,
somewhere, and I was just like, oh man, I don't want to say that I prefer it much over Link to the Past, because then he's gonna be like, man.
There are 3 kinds of Zelda fans. The Zelda 1 crowd, and they're crazy, no one likes them. The Link to the Past is the best game ever, and then Majora's Mask is the best game ever. And like, I fall into none of those. So it's like, oh, okay.
Dude, I fall into the real cultured crowd. We'll
like, dude, the final boss, for some reason, was just so hyped to me. In Link Between Worlds.
Yiga Ganon?
Yeah. Like, I don't know what it was about it, but it was just so... And like, Low Rule alone, like, it basically took the Dark World, was just like this kind of thing that just kind of existed, but kind of made it gave it more character almost, you know? Like, you have Hilda alone, which was like cool enough to add character to it, and I thought that was super cool. And dude, the dungeons in that game are so good. And
I think I've completed the game like twice.
You can do it like in any order, basically. It's just so good. And the Master Sword, it's so good.
You can do that in Link to the Past as well, like do things out of order, but
it's a lot more limiting.
World, it's much more like in Link to the Past, it's much more like, yeah, you should probably do it in this order.
Yeah.
While in Link Between Worlds, it's like, yeah, man, you have the right item from the story. You're good.
It's pretty interesting. So after Skyward Sword came out, I feel like Nintendo, when they were starting to work on Breath of the Wild, they were kind of litmus testing things with their games, with the Zelda games. So like, well, this theory falls apart when I get to the end of it, but I feel like with Link Between Worlds, they wanted to test it, like to see if people liked non-linear dungeons and just having every tool at your disposal like at all times from the get-go. And I wonder if like they were kind of litmus testing that, and then with the HD remakes, they were kind of revisiting those games to see what made them click and work. And they well, this is where it falls apart, but like they were using the gamepad like to integrate it. And
I was thinking just in the way, I think most certainly though, post Skyward Sword, they were like
they were definitely reanalyzing the series.
They definitely, because Skyward Sword was by far the most linear.
It was a very divisive game. It still is.
And then I think after that, they're like, let's go back to trying to be more non-linear.
Yeah,
those people weren't a huge fan of that. But
yeah, Link Between Worlds, man.
Hyrule Warriors once again. You can play as the boys Ravio and Yugo.
Yeah,
that's where it is, man.
And dude, that one mini game in Link Between Worlds. What's the mini game in Link Between Worlds where you like throw the chickens or whatever? I don't know. There's a certain mini game in that game that like
a mini game where you like dodge chickens.
Yeah, that one. I like when I first played the game, I played through that mini game like 20 times just because it was fun. Like not because I needed the heart piece. I already got it. It was just so much fun.
Bro, I had to go for the top score.
Dude, I want to play that game. I really do. It actually has like my out of the games that have the Master Sword, it has one of my more favorite Master Sword sequences. I think Breath of the Wild is my favorite.
Because Breath of the Wild, you can like see it, and then it's like, I gotta work for this.
Well, I was one of those people that didn't know about it when the game came out, and so like I just went to the Lost Woods and was like, oh my gosh, I just found the Master Sword.
Like,
and it's like, what?
Find it, but then you can also not have enough hearts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True. I had enough at that point, but it was still like really cool that I found it.
When I first found it, I didn't.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Because, like, I didn't in an order.
I did like 2 dungeons before I got it.
You know, that's a thing that people don't praise enough of Breath of the Wild. I really like the Divine Beasts.
I don't. I don't.
They're just puzzle boxes, man.
They're really short and they look boring and they all feel the same.
Short, but make you think.
True, but so do the shrines.
They're short, but their puzzles are much better than a majority of other Zelda puzzles.
True, and there's no push block puzzles in the entire game.
It's not pushing blocks. It's not, I wonder where the eye is.
True.
It's not, where's the switch in the room.
Ooh, I unplugged a cable there.
Usually Zelda games have, like...
very similar puzzles.
The best dungeons that people think of are the ones that...
think outside the box, for sure.
Are the ones where it's like, here's, like, the puzzle, but that's kind of the conceit of the whole dungeon.
Right, yeah. Like, Stone Tower Temple is like, oh, you can flip it around, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess you have the Elegy of Emptiness with the statues.
I mean, even, like, in a lot of Majora's Mask dungeons, that's kind of what they do.
Yeah.
Because in the tower, you have the tower that you get to knock down. And then in Great Bay, you have to deal with the water currents.
And Snowhead has is it Snowhead?
Snowhead, I think, yeah.
Because it's Snow Peak and Snowhead has the giant rock column.
Yep.
But yeah, like
the one that's kind of not part of that is the Deku one.
True, but you kind of have that center room with the flower, and I don't know.
That one's much more of a classical, like 3D Zelda dungeon.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like you kind of explore and you find your way, and it's still great, mind you.
Yeah. I think, like, Majora's Mask definitely, like, I mentioned how I thought Twilight Princess and Ocarina have the best dungeons. I think Majora's Masks are pretty good. I just, like, I love the Stone Tower Temple, like, so much.
That's such a good dungeon, dude.
It's probably my favorite in that game. Like, the other, I kind of hate Snowhead. The first one's good, but I don't, like, it's okay. I don't really like Great Bay that much, but Stone Tower, oh my god, so good.
This is why the Water Temple is the best Ocarina of Time.
Dude, okay, we'll get to that. I promise. We'll get to that, okay?
I mean, here's the thing. Do you have another one you haven't said before your number one?
Yeah, so I have number 2. Okay, and I already said it, but it's Link's Awakening. So
there's my number one.
There's
my top tier. There's my top.
Wait, did you say you got your number 2, right?
Yeah. My number 2 was Wind Waker.
Oh, okay.
And then since you
wait, I thought your number 2 was Link Between Worlds.
No, what it was is you said your number 3 ties.
Yeah, which was Breath of the Wild and Wind Waker.
Wind Waker, so we talked about that, and then I jumped back to my number 3.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. Okay.
So yes, Link's Awakening though.
Is that your number 1?
Hell yeah.
Yo, let's go! So I know you were there. You were there in the voice call when this remake was announced.
It just Link's Awakening.
Dude, because I remember, like, leading up to the Direct, there was, like, people were talking about how Nintendo was looking at Game Boy games, and how, like, they wanted to remake them, but, like, they weren't quite sure, because there was just this whole thing where there might be, like, Game Boy remakes, and then people started talking about Link's Awakening, and it was just this whole thing, and the Oracle games, and it was just like, is it really gonna happen? And then March, or, like, February 14th or whatever, February 18th, I don't know, dude. That, oh my god, like, oh, I was so excited.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you know, I'd played the original game, like, multiple times at that point, too, so it wasn't like I was excited because I could finally play it. It was like, because it's a Zelda game that I have, like, really good history with, and it's one that I, like, beat in, like, an afternoon, and it's just so good. It's, like, you mentioned puzzle boxes earlier, right? The whole game is just a giant... It's like a Resident Evil game, really. Like, you keep getting keys, and then you get, like, the parts to fiddle with stuff. Oh my god, like, it's so good.
And then you give the dog food to the dog.
And then everyone dies!
And
it's so good. And it's just a dream.
Everybody's dead.
Dude, and when the remake came out, I finished it, like, lickety-split. Oh my god. And I 100%ed it really quick, too. I got all the heart pieces and seashells. Yeah. It's so good. And, like, the remake, like, is really good, too. I wish the frame rate was better.
Yeah.
But I remember when it was announced, like, people were like, "Oh, it looks stupid." And I know you were kind of that way at first, right?
It was just the initial
reveal
in, like, the original trailer. Some of, like, the textures
weren't
as good as, like, in lighting wasn't as
they
good.
Ended up changing a lot of it too. Like, the Goombas look completely different than in that trailer. Like, in that trailer, they look like normal Mario Goombas.
Like, hella plasticky, and then they refined it for the actual release.
Dude, it's been a year basically since that game came out. Like, I remember you were over here, and like we had so many people over, and it was just me playing Link's Awakening for like the first dungeon.
The local, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that was when the guy was like, "Ugh, Kirby player playing a kid character." I'm like, I just beat you, dude.
Yeah, that was so like, that's just like, ugh. And the remake certainly helps it. So like, you know, when you talk about Link's Awakening, is your number one the remake or is the Game Boy? Like
both.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, and that's kind of how I just wrote.
All the ones that have a remake, I just consider both of them because it's.
Unless
it's like a reimagining, like freaking Final Fantasy VII.
Mm.
Like, in my mind, it's like, yeah, I'll just put them in the same slot.
I wrote Link's Awakening DX ? Like, the remake is definitely really good, and I think if you've never played Link's Awakening and you don't have a Game Boy and you don't have a 3DS and you can't download it off the eShop, just pay the $60. I swear it's worth it. I promise.
Yeah.
God, that's such a good game. Like,
God, it's a Game Boy game.
And it was one that, like, when it came out, I was really like into the speedrunning of it because I didn't really know much about the original Link's Awakening speedruns, and so it was just really fun to like try out some of the early routes, like early any percent routes and stuff. It was good times. So my number one,
speedrunning is fun, but I don't think I'd ever consider speedrunning a Zelda game.
Dude, the thing is,
Breath of the Wild. Maybe Breath of the
Wild.
The
best of the best play the Zelda games, so it's like really scary.
No, I mean, I'm okay with not being the best, but just from like an enjoyment thing, I just like doing movement, like really solid movement.
True.
Like when it's like, that's why platformers are fun to do it.
Dude, you should play Animorphs.
Animorphs.
The Animorphs speedrun is your game.
Dude, that was the best speedrun.
It was pretty good.
GQ.
I'm always like, whenever ZFG shows up and does a hundo, like I'm always there for that. But like, yeah, Animorphs is pretty dope too. My favorite thing. This is so random, but my favorite thing in that in that run is whenever he says, "You know, this is a good speed game because it talks about saving the animals." I'm like, that's really funny. But yeah, so
I know what's your number one.
My number one is
not in my top 5.
It's not Spirit Tracks. It's not Phantom Hourglass.
What?
It's not even
Luigi's Mansion.
Luigi's Mansion 2, which is a Zelda game.
Be a Zelda game.
Dude, Luigi's Mansion 2, Dark Moon is a Zelda game. Changed my mind.
Dude, the first 2 are Zelda games.
They're all Zelda games. It's Star Fox Adventures. That's my number one.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. So Star Fox Adventures is really cool.
About Star Fox 64.
Because it has Crystal in it. And it's made by Rare. And it's good.
Dang. Disappointing.
And the final boss is Andros yet again. And yeah, I just think it's a really good Zelda game.
I would have thought you wouldn't have been a furry, but...
Dude, I named Fox and Wolf. God. No. I made them because they're cool, not because I find them sexy. But anyways, yeah, so Ocarina of Time, right? It's a pretty good game. So I'll fully admit, like...
It's solid.
Like, it's not the best.
I'm not dissing Ocarina of Time or even saying it's mediocre. It's just not my favorite.
Like, it happened to be the first one I played, so, like, that's kind of a thing. And I find that's the case with a lot of people. Generally, their favorite is the one they played first, so, like, people more so our age and maybe a little younger, their favorite is, like, Twilight Princess, because it was the first one they played, or maybe Wind Waker, and, like...
Bro, where's Phantom Hourglass in my top?
True, Phantom Hourglass is dope, but, like...
2 I played were the original and Phantom Hourglass.
Darn, dude! Wow.
So,
damn. But like, so I don't know. Anyway, Ocarina of Time is this beautiful coming of age story where you go through the mode. Like, I remember when I was just about to go to like the final dungeon, the Spirit Temple, which is it the Spirit or Shadow Temple? Blah blah blah. Who cares? But like. I remember during the cutscene when I'm getting the medallion, the spirit or the shadow medallion, and I'm like so hyped. I'm like, oh my god, like this is it. I'm gonna go to the final dungeon. Like everything about that game was just so magical. Like when I figured out, like when I finally beat Jabu Jabu, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. And then like Ganondorf attacks Hyrule Castletown, and then you get the ocarina, and then you oh god, it's so good. And it just like the game opened up and then it was terrifying because there's fucking re-deads out there and they gave me nightmares. and then you learn to conquer your fears by saving the forest. Oh my gosh, dude. I just love it, and plus I watch speedruns of it all the time. So I just
Speedrunning.
It's just so good. And the fact that it is as good as it is, like I mentioned this before, it was just, there's at the time, you had Final Fantasy 7, but that's nowhere near this kind where it's a 3D game. Final Fantasy 7 is still 2D, kind of. But this is just, it completely flipped the script, and it was just you know what? 3D time, and the Great Deku Tree is 3 levels tall, and you gotta jump from the top and go to the bottom. What? How do I do this? Huh? Oh, you can't do that in 2D. It looks at Eagle's Tower from Link's Awakening, but
the real best one. Get good.
But all the dungeons, I love all of them. Man. My least favorite dungeon is probably Dodongo's Cavern, but still, whenever I think of Dodongo's Cavern, I'm oh my god, it's just this awesome adventure. You gotta go to the Gorons and blow up the rock, and you go in there, and it's so fucking scary with the Beamos, and dude, I just love it.
Okay, I was thinking if there, because I wasn't remembering if there was any cool wow, it's 3D moments in it, but then I remembered that you drop the bombs into the eyes of the skull or whatever.
Yeah,
that's pretty tight.
Jabu Jabu doesn't really have anything like that. Forest Temple definitely does with the hook shot. But
and you turn around the things and all that.
Yeah, and you have the block puzzle of the pose. Yeah. It's definitely the Zelda game I've played the most. It's the one I listen to the soundtrack of the most. I love it, and I'm kind of a snob about it too. I just really like it. I'll admit it's not perfect. There are things that I would probably change, the trading quest is a bit too long. I don't like that the ice arrows suck. There's things about it I would definitely change, but it's just the quintessential video game to me. It's so good. It is so good.
You're one of those type of people.
And I didn't even play it until 2011 when it came out on 3DS. It was my first Zelda game. I was 10. I'm yeah, I probably could have gotten into the series earlier with Link's crossbow training, but I don't know, dude.
I'm sad where I put all these on a list. I'm sad that it wasn't Link's crossbow training, honestly.
Yeah, dude. That game. But yeah, that's Zelda. I love it. It is easily my favorite franchise, ever. I like Halo, but Zelda, man.
But half of Halo is bad, apparently.
Well, half of Zelda's bad. I'm just kidding. I think Zelda's probably it's such a consistent series.
It is.
The only bad games are ones that weren't even made by Nintendo.
Yep.
And then you have Link's crossbow training, but
No, that one's what? Are you insinuating?
Oh, sorry. Bad? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jeez. Oh God, I didn't mean to do that.
Man, you wouldn't say that if you had half a brain.
I have 2 copies of it because when we bought the Zapper, the
the Wii crossbow Zapper.
Yeah, the plate, the piece of plastic folds in to cover the nunchuck cord, broke, so we had to get a new one, and so we have 2 copies of Link's crossbow training. I don't think I've played that game, but I don't really I don't think I've played through all of it. I need to. I should get my Zapper and Link's crossbow training out.
Link's crossbow training.
But yeah.
Okay. Zelda, pretty tight.
Definitely cool. Fuck it though, it's actually bad.
And this is why Metroid Prime is.
Yes. Dude, Metroid Prime. Oh, dude. Metroid that was a game too that I didn't play until more recently, and it's really good.
Zelda 2.
Really good. No, Metroid Prime.
Oh, Metroid.
Zelda 2 I think is actually Zelda 2 is at the bottom of my list. It's I don't know.
I get it.
Zelda 2 is easily my least favorite out of all of them.
I haven't played it, so
have you played the Oracle games at all?
I have them. I haven't played through them yet, but I played each of them a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. They're cool. Minish Cap's cool too.
They're just more Zelda games. They're just more solid Zelda games.
Yeah, the Capcom games are definitely just they're not the best, but they're definitely really good.
They're good.
I don't know. Phantom Hourglass is one that I really like too. I'm pretty nostalgic about that one too, because I rented it from Blockbuster. Good times. And it was super hyped up in Nintendo Power and stuff. But yeah, that's Zelda. So I think next week, if we film an episode, it'll be right before or just after Super Mario 3D All Stars comes out. Because it comes out like Friday.
It comes out this Friday, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it's a new week. Well, or Saturday, isn't it? Anyways, but yeah, so we'll probably do a similar thing, but with Mario games for next week.
And we can even do a 10 with that because there's more than 14 Mario games.
Yeah, and even though I put out I have a whole top 10, I might. Yeah, I don't know. I've done like tier list videos and stuff. Like my opinions change a lot. I'll say this, like. My number one is concrete and will probably be number one forever, but like Breath of the Wild sometimes is my number two, and then maybe Link's like it's pretty wishy-washy, but like in the moment, you know what? It's just this right now. So that's how my lists usually work.
Yeah.
Because I'll like replay like Twilight Princess. I just bought the HD remake, and it'll probably either go up or down depending on that. Like I'm really excited to play it
because you'll actually be able to play through it.
Yeah, on a controller with headphones and not a Wii remote. Woo. I was joking about this on Twitter, but I'm like, Mario Galaxy being on not the Wii will probably make me like it better. But then I realized I had to play with Joy-Cons, and I was like, oh, well, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do because like, how's the pointer gonna work with the Pro controller? Like, I know it has gyro in it.
Gyro, yeah. I mean, it does.
It does
pointer stuff with gyro in Splatoon 2.
Does it?
I mean, yeah, it does. Okay.
Oh, yeah, on the map, right?
On the map, yeah. So likely the same thing. It'll be gyro, but with a freaking recenter button.
Right. True. Because I find moving around in 3D environments with the Joy-Cons really uncomfortable.
And to be fair, with Mario Galaxy, there's not a lot. There are certain ones that are centered around the pointer, but like they're more slow paced. I'm
also like, I'm not sure how the camera's gonna work. Like, I'm sure it's right stick related, but like if they do a Skyward Sword remake on Switch and like you have to use the Joy-Cons, because like how else are you gonna play it?
I can see that work.
Like I just like playing when I first got my Switch and I played like Mario Odyssey.
Unless
I find the camera so uncomfortable with Joy-Cons.
Oh no, that wouldn't even work. No, it could. This would be hella weird.
I think Skyward Sword would work with Joy-Cons for sure.
It would work with Joy-Cons, but I was just thinking of
there's like, talk of using the analog sticks for the sword.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Right stick is the sword, but then you can't do like the spin attack, or because you need to
or the skyward
nunchuck as well.
Yeah, because the nunchuck is the shield. Yeah, I don't know. I think I feel like if they do a Skyward, like they'd have to come out with like new Joy-Cons or something. I don't know. I'm really curious how Galaxy's gonna play though, because I'll do Joy-Cons for Galaxy. I'm gonna I'm
doing Pro controller.
I'm gonna do Pro controller for the other two, and maybe try a GameCube controller. Even though like it's so stupid. Like I'll say that it's really dumb that they didn't care about the GameCube controller for these. Like I think that's kind of dumb.
No, yeah.
Like
Mario Galaxy 2, that's how it is.
You know, if they added Mario Galaxy 2, they would have bothered with GameCube support for the first two.
They would.
But anyways, yeah. So next week there's the PlayStation 5 thing as well. That's the console I'm leaning more towards for this next generation. Even though I've always been a Microsoft fanboy, so like it's weird. It's so weird. Like I basically just abandoned the Xbox like the last 2 years. I was like, yeah, I got a PS4. It's awesome. It has Death Stranding on it. It's amazing. It's the best console ever.
I'm probably gonna be waiting on next gen for a while.
I want to early adopt for a couple reasons, because I just bought a new monitor that supports 4K. UHD, and like I want that new Call of Duty, man. Oh, it's Treyarch. They're gonna disappoint me again, but I hope that's good.
Wait, you just have to wait, dude.
But like, I don't know. Like PS5, like I'm excited. I just don't know. I feel like they got a good thing going, and Horizon Zero Dawn 2 will come out eventually, and I don't know. I've never gotten a console on day one, and this is finally the opportunity I'm gonna have to do it. So
I did that with the Switch.
Yeah, I remember you missed school and you were playing Breath of the Wild, and I had to stay at school, and then I wasn't gonna. I remember that because I downloaded the game on Wii U. God damn it! Did you get Yeah, you got 1-2 Switch as well at launch.
Yeah.
Because my first Switch game was Mario Odyssey, because I got it for Christmas, but not a Switch. I got like Mario Odyssey and Mario Rabbids, and I still haven't played Rabbids yet.
That game's actually really tight.
I just like, I don't know. Every time I think about playing it, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'd have to like really pay attention and invest in it, but I don't know.
Yes, it is a strategy game.
Yeah, that's true, but
it isn't that hard. It doesn't really get super challenging until like the very end.
Because like Fire Emblem, dude, that was such a good release, like time. Okay. And then like, I'm like, I've never had that with a game where like a whole bunch of my friends bought it and played it, because like there was so much hype behind the game. Whereas like Breath of the Wild, like none of my friends had a Wii U. Like, you were the only person I knew that like got it really early, because you and I both played it day one, but like none of my friends had a Wii U, so they didn't play it, and then none of my friends got a Switch yet, and so it was just like, it was weird that when Three Houses came out, so many of my friends were playing it. It was awesome.
Dude, Blue Lions rep.
Yeah, and each one of us played a different route. That was awesome.
Blue Lions rep. Let's go.
Yeah, dude. Oh, I love the Switch, but like, the Wii U's better. I don't know. I just like, I literally dug my Wii U out of the depths of hell, and like, I just love it. I just do. And the Switch is great. But please, Nintendo.
With holes in it, but it's my shoe.
There are 3 games that need to come to Switch now. We need Xenoblade Chronicles X. We need Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Like, that's all we need. We got one. We got Wonderful 101. We got Bayonetta 2 and 1. We got or we're getting 3D World. We got fucking Lego City Undercover. Like, there's not many.
Honest to God, 3D World is probably going to be the best Wii U port so far.
I hope. Like, whatever that Bowser's Fury thing is.
I mean, not only that, like, the game is faster.
True. That's so cool. Like, that is just such a Nintendo thing.
It kind of worries me a little bit, because I'm like, that changes a lot. You know?
Yeah, dude, the double cherry, it's gonna be so...
That's like a decision, if you don't think it through, then it might actually worsen a lot of the game.
True.
Just in terms of level design and stuff.
That'll be interesting. But yeah, Nintendo Land will never work on the Switch, ever.
No,
that's sad.
2 Switches.
Oh, boom, baby. Oh, dude, Mario Party style, where you like... you like draw your finger in the middle of it. Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this week / month. I don't even know anymore. Thanks for joining me, Gabe.
I mean, here's the thing, like, we're like at a point where it's like we're falling into schedules now, you know?
Yeah, true.
I'm no longer having surgery.
Nice. Your mouth is together.
My mouth is working. So yeah.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We
will. We'll see you next week with Mario stuff.
Yeah.
And how cool Mario is. So thanks for watching, everybody. That was the 5th episode of the Semanti-Cast. I didn't realize I didn't even like do the intro. But that doesn't matter. You know what this is. And you know what it will be next week. Ta-ta for now.